Hello there learners. In this video, we are going to discuss school governance. Before discussing school governance, let us first understand the concept of governance. So what is governance? Governance basically refers to the process of decision making and implementation of policies and regulations in an organization, institution or community. It involves the structures, procedures and mechanisms that are put in place to ensure that decisions are made fairly, transparently and accountably. In the year 1992, the World Bank set out its definition of good governance in its report entitled Governance and Development. It defined good governance as the manner in which power is exercised in the management of a country's economic and social resources for development. In simple terms, governance means the process of decision making and the process by which decisions are implemented or not implemented. The term governance and good governance are now being increasingly used. Bad governance is being regarded as one of the root causes of all evil within our system and the society. Good governance ensures that decisions are made in the best interest of the stakeholders and that their rights and needs are respected. Effective governance is essential for the proper functioning of any organization or institution and for the promotion of social, economic and political development. It ensures that corruption is minimized, the views of the minorities are taken into account, and that the voice of the most vulnerable in the society are heard in the decision making. It is also responsive to the present and future need of the society. So according to United Nations, good governance has 8 major characteristics. These are accountable, transparent, responsiveness, equitable and inclusive, effective and efficient, follows the rule of law, participatory and consensus oriented. So to be good governance, there must be presence of all these 8 characters. Now we'll discuss it one by one. The first characteristics of good governance is participation. So in good governance, people should be able to voice their own opinions through legitimate immediate organizations or representatives. Participation of all stakeholders, that is men and women, vulnerable section of the society, backward classes, minorities, etc., is a key cornerstone of good governance. The second characteristics of good governance is rule of law. So when we say the governance is good, when there will be rule of law. What is rule of law? Good governance requires fair legal frameworks that are enforced impartially. It also requires full protection of human rights, particularly those of minorities and vulnerable section of the society. The third characteristics of good governance is transparency. Transparency means that decisions taken and their enforcement are done in a manner that follows rules and regulations. It also means that information is freely available and directly accessible to those who will be affected by such decisions and their enforcement. The fourth characteristics of good governance is responsiveness. So good governance requires that institutions and process try to serve all stakeholders within a reasonable time frame. The fifth characteristics of good governance is consensus oriented. Consensus oriented decision making ensures that even if everyone does not achieve what they want to the fullest, a common minimum can be achieved by everyone which will not be detrimental to anyone. The sixth characteristics of good governance is effectiveness and efficiency. Good governance means that processes and institutions produce results that meet the needs of the society while making the best use of resources at their disposal. The 7 characteristics of good governance is equity and inclusion. A society's well-being depends on ensuring that all its members feel that they have a stake in it and do not feel excluded from the mainstream of the society. This requires all groups, but particularly the most vulnerable, have opportunities to improve or maintain their well-being. The last and 8 characteristics of good governance is accountability. Accountability is a key requirement of good governance. Not only governmental institutions, but also the private sector and civil society organizations must be accountable to the public and to their institutional stakeholders. So, in governance, if all these 8 characteristics or features are present, then we can say that the good governance prevail. So, dear learners, we have discussed that good governance means the process of decision making and the process by which decisions are implemented or not implemented. And we also discuss the characteristics of good governance. Now we will discuss school governance. So what we mean by school governance? School governance is the process and the structures that are put in place to manage and oversee the affairs of a school. It refers to the system of decision making and management that take place within the school. It involves the allocation of resources, the formulation of policies, the hiring of personnel, and the establishment of a framework for monitoring and evaluating performance. So, school governance is an important area of focus for educational policymakers and the practitioners in India, given the critical role that education plays in the country's social and economic development. Good governance ensures that the schools is run effectively and efficiently, and that the interest of all stakeholders are taken into account. Effective school governance is critical for the success of a school. It ensures that the school is managed in a way that meets the needs of its students, staff, and community, and that resources are used efficiently and effectively. Good governance also promotes transparency, accountability, and stakeholders' engagement, which can help in building trust and confidence in the school and its leadership. Now, we'll discuss about school governance in India. So, school governance in India has been shaped by a number of factors, including the country's federal structure, its diverse population, and its emphasis on social justice. The Indian Constitution, in its original enactment, defined education as state subject. Under Article 42 of Constitution, an amendment was added in 1976, and education became a concurrent list subject, which enables the central government to legislate it in the manner suited to it. This has led to significant variation in the structure and quality of school across the country. So there are many institutions or bodies which are responsible for school governance in India. We'll discuss few important bodies which are responsible or which are governing the school education in India. So number 1 is the Ministry of Education, Government of India. The Ministry of Education, Government of India, sets the overall policies and regulatory framework for the education in India. As per Clause 3 of Article 77, Constitution of India, a ministry or department is responsible for formulation of policies of the government and also for the execution and review of those policies. The Ministry of Education, Government of India, consists of 2 departments, namely the Department of School Education and Literacy and the Department of Higher Education. So, through these 2 departments, the Government of India govern the education system of the country. The second one is state government and education departments. The state governments are responsible for administration and management of the schools within their respective states. The state government, through education department, frame policies and rules relating to administration and management of schools. They must also aid in framing the syllabus and curriculum. Number 3 is central institutions. That is, the institution established by the central government. So there are many such institutions established by central government for managing the Indian school education, like Central Board of Secondary Education, that is CBSE, is responsible for setting the curriculum, conducting examinations, and awarding certificates for secondary and senior secondary education. There are other central government organizations like National Council for Educational Research and Training, that is NCERT, Navodaya Vidyalaya Samiti, NVS, Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan, KVS, Central Institute of Education Technology, etc., to assist the central government in managing school education. Then the state education boards. In the state level, state education boards are responsible for setting the curriculum, conducting examinations, and awarding certificates for primary, secondary, and senior secondary education in their respective states. Then the school management committees. School management committees are mandated by the Right to Education Act of 2009 to manage and monitor the functioning of schools. These school management committees are composed of elected representatives from the local community, parents, and teachers. Then the local authorities. Local authorities such as municipal corporations and Panchayati Raj institutions are responsible for the provisions and management of education in their respective areas. Then the school principals. The school principals are responsible for the day-to-day administration and management of the school. They are also responsible for implementing policies and programs related to education. Actually, the main implementing agencies of all the policies related to school educations are the school principals and the school management committees. So these two are the grassroots institutions or which implement the policies related to school education in India. Then the teachers. Teachers are responsible for the delivery of education in schools. They are also responsible for implementing policies and programs related to the education. So these are the institutions which are responsible for governing the school education system in India. So next we'll discuss some issues which are associated with school governance in India. So despite the progress that has been made in expanding access to education in India, the country's education system continues to face significant challenges. These challenges are reflected in a number of areas of school governance, including the allocation of resources, the quality of teaching and learning, the development of effective policies and procedures, etc. There are several issues in school governance in India that need attention and reforms. Some of the key issues we are trying to discuss here. So number one is the lack of accountability. So there is a need to strengthen accountability mechanism at various levels of school governance. Instance of corruption, misuse of fund, and nepotism in school administration undermine the quality of education and hinder the development of schools. Then comes the allocation of resources. The allocation of resources in Indian education sector has been uneven in India, with some regions and schools receiving more support than others, with some regions and schools receiving more support than others. After 40 years of the Kothari Commission recommendation of spending at least 6% of GDP on education, the Indian government has failed to spend more than 4% of GDP on education. The new education policy 2020 has restated the need for increasing public investment in the education sector to a minimum of 6% of its gross domestic product at the earliest. However, in 2021-22, the budgetary allocation for education spending by the union government and the state government combined was far less at 3.1% of the country's GDP. Then inadequate infrastructure. As you all know, that many schools in India suffers from a lack of basic infrastructure, including classroom, furniture, libraries, laboratories, and sanitation facilities. Insufficient infrastructure negatively impacts the learning environment and hampers the quality of education. Then, quality of teaching and learning. Ensuring high quality teaching and learning experience is a critical challenge in school governance. Inadequate teachers training and professional development, outdated pedagogical practices, and a focus on rote learning instead of critical thinking hinder the delivery of quality education in India. Then comes the equity and access. Disparities in access to education and unequal distribution of resources remain significant challenges in the school governance in India. Disparities in access to education and unequal distribution of resources remain significant challenges in school governance in India. Marginalized communities, rural areas, and economically disadvantaged sections of the society often face barriers in accessing quality education, leading to educational inequity. Parents and community engagement. Limited parents and community engagement in school governance is a pressing issue in India. Involving parents and community members in decision-making process and fostering their activities and fostering their active participation can contribute to a better educational outcomes and strengthen the accountability of schools. Policy implementation and monitoring. There is a need for stronger mechanism to ensure that policies and initiatives translate into tangible improvements in schools and are effectively monitored by their impact. Teachers' requirement and retention. The recruitment and retention of qualified and motivated teachers is a persistent challenge. Addressing issues such as teacher shortage, inadequate remuneration, and professional growth opportunities can contribute to improving the quality of teaching and learning in schools. Then comes the technological integration. While technology has the potential to enhance education, there are challenges in its effective integration in schools. Issues such as access to technology, training of teachers, digital infrastructures, and the digital divide needs to be addressed to leverage technology for improving learning outcome. Addressing these current issues in school governance in India requires a multi-dimensional approach involving policy reforms, capacity building, stakeholders engagement, and resource allocation. Collaborative effort between government bodies, the educational authorities, schools, teachers, parents, and communities are necessary to drive meaningful changes and ensure quality education for all students in India. So these are some challenges which we have discussed. Now, in order to improve the education scenario or educational governance in India, we can adopt some strategies. So improving school governance in India requires a comprehensive approach that address various aspects of governance. Here are some strategies that contribute to enhance school governance in the Indian context. Number one is clear policies and guidelines. Develop and communicate clear policies and guidelines for school governance at the national, state, and local level. These policies should outline the role and responsibilities of various stakeholders, including school administrators, teachers, parents, and community members, and establish mechanism for accountability and transparency. The next strategy could be capacity building. So provide regular training and professional development opportunities for school administrators, teachers, and other staff members to enhance their knowledge and skills in areas such as leadership, management, pedagogy, and governance. This will empower them to effectively carry out their role and responsibilities. The next strategy could be stakeholders' engagement. Foster active engagement and participation of all stakeholders in the governance process. Encourage open communication channels between school management, teachers, parents, students, and community members. Seek their input and involve them in decision-making process, ensuring their voice and heard and their perspective considered. Then the next may be school leadership. Strengthening school leadership by promoting effective leadership practices, including visionary leadership, strategic planning, and team building. School leaders should create a positive and inclusive school culture, provide guidance and support to teachers, and promote collaboration among staff members. The next strategy may be parents and community involvement. Actively involve parents and the local community in school governance. Establish parents-teachers association or school management committees to facilitate their participation. Encourage community partnership and collaboration to leverage external resources and support for the school. The next strategy could be proper monitoring and evaluation. So if we see in India, we can observe that the monitoring and evaluation part is very poor. Many policies are fail or it cannot reach the stakeholders due to poor monitoring and evaluation. So implement robust monitoring and evaluation mechanism to assess the effectiveness of school governance practices, regularly evaluate the implementation of policies, monitor student outcomes, and seek feedback from stakeholders. Using these informations to identify areas for improvement and make data-informed decision. Then financial management. Establish mechanism for budgeting. So it is very important to ensure a transparent and effective financial management system in schools. Financial reporting and auditing. Promote accountability and integrity in financial transactions and resource allocation. Then comes the quality assurance. Emphasize the importance of quality education and establish mechanism for quality assurance. Implement regular assessment and evaluation practices to monitor the quality of teaching and learning. Encourage continuous improvement through feedback and professional development opportunities for teachers. Then information and communication technology. Leverage information and communication technology to improve school governance is very important in present situation. Utilizing digital platforms for communication, data management, and monitoring processes. Integrate ICT tools in teaching and learning to enhance educational outcome is the need of the hour. Then collaborating and networking. So in order to improve school governance, it is very important to encourage collaboration and networking among the schools, educational institutions, and relevant stakeholders. Facilitate knowledge sharing, best practice exchanges, and joint initiative to improve school governance collectively can be a very good idea of improving school governance. So when these strategies implemented effectively, it can contribute to improving school governance in India, leading to enhanced educational outcome, increased stakeholder satisfaction, and the overall development of the education system of the country. So with this, we will conclude the discussion on understanding school governance. In the next video, we'll discuss on policies of school governance. Thank you.